least one explosion and a massive fire on board the USS Bonhomme Richard sent more than a dozen people, sailors and civilians, to the hospital today. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Alicia Summers. Steve Price has the night off. Let's give you a live look at the fire from Chopper 8 over Naval Base San Diego. According to the Navy, it's been burning since before 9 o'clock this morning. Crews from all over were called in to battle it. News 8's Brandon Lewis is live near the ship. Brandon, what can you tell us about the firefight and the people that were injured?
Yeah, Alicia, just about an hour ago, the Navy told us that their fire crews were on board the ship working to try to find the exact source of this fire and work to extinguish it. Only then can they really get into the investigation of figuring out exactly how this happened. And we're just outside of the gates here at Naval Base San Diego. The ship is located just on the other side of this wall here. You see where that smoke column is pouring up from. That's the fire. Now, the wind shifted here maybe about an hour ago. So if you're in the South Bay community and further to the south of the base, you may not be seeing the smoke. And now we're seeing it come almost straight inland from here. And you'll probably notice a large plume of smoke burning from this still burning ship.
The smoke from the USS Bonhomme Richard was visible for miles as a 3-alarm fire burned deep from within, causing several small explosions. About 160 sailors were on board, all made it out alive, but 17 suffered non-life-threatening injuries, including 2 of whom that suffered smoke inhalation. 4 other civilians were also hurt. The Navy says most of the injuries are minor, but they were taken to the hospital as a precaution. A massive operation was launched to extinguish the flames. Federal firefighters from across local bases descended on the pier, along with several from nearby cities. San Diego Fire took these images as firefighters worked from the ground. Nearby firefighting boats also did their best. A civilian contractor showed News 8 the smoky scene inside before firefighters took up defensive positions on land. The Navy isn't saying where the fire may have started, but an investigation into the cause is already underway. It could take some time before the results are public. The Bonhomme Richard is an amphibious assault ship that's home ported in San Diego. It usually operates with about 1,000 crew members, but since it's at port and undergoing maintenance, less than 20% of the crew was on board, performing essential functions when the fire began.
And again, the good news here is that everyone did make it off the ship safely, and this firefighting effort to extinguish these flames is going to be ongoing for quite some time into the evening. We'll go ahead and send it back to you, Alicia.
Brandon, the piers at the base are pretty close together. Did this spread to any other ships?
Yeah, there were several ships that are in the vicinity and located nearby where this ship was located. 2 of them, the Fitzgerald and the Russell, ended up getting moved to other piers here at Naval Base San Diego. That allowed them to free up some of the crews from those ships and help with this firefighting effort. So at least 2 ships were moved because of this.
All right, Brandon, thank you. And now we want to take a closer look at the history of the USS Bonhomme Richard. For that part of the story, we go now to News 8's Kelly has it all. Kelly?
Yeah, Alicia, the USS Bonhomme Richard has played a big role in the Navy. It is an amphibious assault ship, and it's the 3rd ship of the U.S. Navy with this name. The USS Bonhomme Richard was named in honor of Captain John Paul Jones's famous frigate, which he had named in French, Goodman Richard, for Benjamin Franklin. The 847-foot ship has a crew of more than 100 officers and more than 1,000 sailors. It has a Marine detachment of more than 1,800 Marines. It allows the Navy to complete a wide range of missions, from defending America to humanitarian assistance. It can reach speeds of more than 20 knots. It has medical facilities that include 6 operating rooms and 60 beds. The ship was launched in March of 1997, delivered to the Navy in May of 1998, and commissioned in August of 1998. The Bonhomme Richard has taken part in several operations, including Operation Iraqi Freedom. In January of 2003, the ship offloaded more than 1,000 Marines and gear into Kuwait. It also took position just miles off the coast of Kuwait and was one of 2 aircraft carriers to launch strike aircraft into Iraq. The ship has also made appearances on the big screen. It appeared in various scenes in the 2012 movie Battleship. Sailors on board were used as extras. It was also used in the film Act of Valor, also released in 2012. The Bonhomme Richard conducted search and rescue operations after the 2014 Seawall ferry disaster in South Korea and provided humanitarian relief after Japan's Kumamoto earthquakes 2 years later. And the Bonhomme Richard has received several awards over the years. It has been awarded the Navy Battle Effectiveness Award 8 times. Alicia?
All right, Kelly, thank you. And as Brandon mentioned earlier, the fire kicked up a lot of smoke that could be seen for miles, and it started to shift a little bit this afternoon. For a look at the conditions and how it's changing the smoke direction, let's go to meteorologist Sean Stiles.
Well, I got to tell you, this is a very interesting weather pattern that we're sitting under right now, and I've got a time lapse so you can see how this fire took place. Watch what happens here. We've got these winds aloft that are blowing offshore, but then here's the fire right here. I'm going to let this come around one more time. You're going to see the white smoke start to come up, and then once it does, you'll see a little bit of black smoke. Watch how it comes out all the way out to San Miguel Mountain. You'll see it right about there. You see it come through. There's the black smoke, and then the wind shifts and goes straight out of the northwest. So that's why we're starting to see some winds move across the South Bay. And as we take a look at this, as the winds shift here, we can see how the winds were blowing onshore. This is a look at the time lapse as you were of the winds as they worked at their way overnight and then started to come onshore. And as we take a look at how those winds are continuing to come in onshore right now, visibility is very good. So we're seeing this smoke across the county, and then those winds continue to come out of the northwest, now in Chula Vista at about 13 miles per hour. So some pretty steady winds blowing onshore, and that's why we're seeing these winds pick up that smoke and move it in and across the South Bay. Another thing we've got going is an atmosphere that's relatively dry because of the heat that we've seen. That will last one more day tomorrow in the inland microclimates. You'll be into the mid to upper 80s. We're talking about 78 along the coastline. So with this drier atmosphere and the lower humidities, we're able to see the smoke. And with the circulation around the high pressure, it's spreading it across much of San Diego.